Chosen one, there are moments in your life that shift everything. Moments where the veil between you and heaven feels thinner. Moments where it's not just a prayer going up, but a presence coming down. This is not a distant whisper. This is not a sign you have to decode. This is God coming face to face with you, and this time, it's personal. This is not the season for casual faith or halfway obedience. This is not the season where you wait for confirmation from other people. When God steps in like this, everything else becomes secondary. He is not visiting you to make small talk. He is stepping in to make history. Your history. Before we go deeper, watch this word until the very end. Let every sentence plant a seed in your spirit. And as you listen, comment your warmest wishes and 144 below. So the vibration of faith, love, and expectation floods this space. When you release that energy into the universe, it doesn't just bless others. It circles back to you multiplied. Now, chosen one, show your light by liking this video and subscribe to the channel, and let's step into this together. Now, hear this. When God makes something personal, it's because He's preparing to touch an area of your life that has been untouched for too long. It's because you've reached a place where prayers, effort, and waiting have done all they can do, and only a divine encounter can move you forward. He's not sending an angel this time. He's not sending a message through someone else. He is coming Himself. And when He comes face to face with you, the weight of His presence will do what your strength never could. This is not about trying harder. It's about being still enough for Him to do what only He can do. It's about letting go of every fear, every what if, every wound, and standing exactly where He has placed you, so that His glory can find you. In this kind of moment, your past no longer matters. Your mistakes no longer hold authority. The labels others placed on you lose their power. Because when God steps in personally, He's not coming to consult your history. He's coming to confirm your destiny. And make no mistake, there will be a shift. The air around you will feel different. Your spirit will recognize the atmosphere before your mind catches up. This is when you'll start noticing unusual stillness in your thoughts, deep clarity in your heart, and a sudden sense of certainty that you can't explain. That's how you know heaven just stepped into your space. This encounter will not just change how you see God, it will change how you see yourself. You'll start recognizing the royalty within you. You'll carry yourself differently, speak differently, believe differently. Because once you've stood face to face with the one who formed you, you can no longer shrink to fit the spaces that once held you. And here's the thing. The world around you may not understand this encounter. Some will think you've become too intense or too different, but that's because they weren't in the room when the Creator of the universe looked you in the eyes and reminded you who you are. They didn't feel His hand on your shoulder. They didn't hear His voice call you by name. From this moment forward, every step you take will be marked. Every decision will be sharper. Every delay will make sense. Because when God makes something personal, He's not just visiting you for a moment, He's anchoring Himself in your life in a way that will not be moved. And understand this, the face-to-face moment isn't only about comfort. Sometimes it's about confrontation, not the kind that destroys, but the kind that delivers. When God looks you in the eye, He may also expose the things you've been ignoring, the wounds you've hidden, the doubts you've denied, the fears you've tried to outrun. But even that exposure is drenched in love, because He's showing you only what He intends to heal. This is why you've been feeling a deeper pull in your spirit. This is why normal routines have started to feel empty. This is why you've been restless in the places you once felt comfortable. Because He's drawing you to a meeting point, the place where His presence and your surrender collide. And when you reach that place, you will leave it transformed. So prepare yourself, not in fear, but in faith. Remove distractions. Create space. Because the God of all creation is coming face to face with you, and when He does, nothing in your life will remain the same. Chosen one of the clearest signs that God is about to meet you personally is the shift in your atmosphere. It's when things that used to distract you suddenly lose their pull. It's when conversations you once engaged in feel empty. It's when your heart becomes heavy for no obvious reason, yet you know deep inside something is coming. That is not heaviness. That is the gravity of God's presence drawing near. When the Creator sets His face toward you, He doesn't just appear suddenly without preparing you. Your spirit begins to sense Him before your eyes see Him. You might feel an unusual urge to be alone, to turn off the noise, to stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand. That is because He is clearing the space for a personal exchange. Sometimes He will even allow certain people or situations to fall away just before this encounter. Not because He wants you lonely, but because He doesn't want anything standing between His voice and your heart. He wants you to recognize Him without confusion. He wants you to hear Him without interference. And understand, when God comes face to face with you, it's not for the sake of ceremony. This is not about making you feel good for a moment. This is about imparting something to you that will sustain you for years. You will not leave this encounter empty-handed. His words will become your weapons. His presence will become your protection. His revelation will become your roadmap. Some of you have been in a season where it feels like you've been stripped down to the core. Nothing is working the way you planned. People you trusted have faded, and doors you tried to open have stayed shut. That's because this next chapter isn't about your plans. It's about His plan, and He's about to reveal it directly to you. You have to remember, God does not move personally without purpose. If He is stepping into your space, it's because there is something on your life that requires His touch before it can unfold. It might be a promise you've been carrying for years. It might be a dream that has felt delayed. It might be a healing you thought you could live without, but can't. Whatever it is, He knows that the only way forward is for Him to meet you Himself. And here's the thing about these moments. They often come in unexpected ways. You may not see a flash of light or hear an audible voice. Sometimes it's the stillness that speaks the loudest. Sometimes it's a deep knowing that everything is about to change, even before a single thing looks different. That's because the encounter happens in your spirit first, and then your life catches up. When He comes to shift your posture, to break the limitations you didn't even realize you accepted, to remove the weight you've been carrying alone. You will leave lighter. You will leave bolder. You will leave with the certainty that you have been seen, heard, and chosen, not in theory, but in truth. And from that moment on, you will stop needing the world to validate you. You will stop needing endless confirmations. Because once you've stood in His presence, but you've felt His eyes meet yours in the Spirit, there is no longer room for doubt. You won't just believe He's with you, you will know it beyond anything else. This is why He's calling you to be ready now. Not next week, not after things settle down. Because when God is coming face to face with you, delay is not an option. You can't reschedule destiny. When you come out of a face-to-face moment with God, you don't return to life the same way you entered it. Something shifts in your very atmosphere. People may not be able to name it, but they will feel it. You will walk into a room, and the energy will change, not because you're trying to command attention, but because the presence you've just been in is still resting on you. Chosen one, that is the part no one talks about, the afterglow of an encounter with the divine. You don't just receive words, you carry weight. And that weight is not a burden. It's a mantle. It's the evidence that you've been marked for something greater. Your decisions will change. The way you speak will change. What you tolerate will change. And people who once could manipulate you, distract you, or convince you to settle will find they no longer have access. Not because you're angry, but because you've stepped into a level of clarity that makes deception impossible. You see, when God comes personally, He brings alignment. And alignment doesn't just touch your spirit. It rearranges your whole life. You'll notice relationships that no longer fit. You'll see patterns that you once excused for just the way things are suddenly become unacceptable. You'll feel a pull to release things, even things that once brought you comfort, because they no longer match the frequency of where you're going. And here's where it gets even deeper. After such an encounter, your prayers evolve. You stop praying from a place of desperation and start praying from a place of dominion. You stop begging for doors to open and start thanking God for the ones He has already marked for you. You stop asking Him to remove your enemies and start asking Him for the wisdom to navigate your victory. The encounter also unlocks a boldness that surprises even you. You'll find yourself speaking truths you once swallowed. You'll move forward on assignments you used to second-guess, and opportunities that once intimidated you will now feel like they were made for you, because in truth, they were. But not everyone will celebrate this version of you. Some will feel the distance growing and not understand why. Some will try to pull you back into the version of you they're comfortable with. That's why this face-to-face moment is so personal, because God is not just strengthening you for the blessing, He's preparing you for the shift in relationships, environments, and even the way the world sees you. This is also why He doesn't let everyone in your life witness the encounter. It's not for public display. It's for private transformation. The depth of it is too holy to be debated or questioned by those who haven't experienced it. This is not for them to analyze. It's for you to live out. And as you start walking in this new level, you'll realize something profound. God didn't just meet you to answer a question or give you a promise. He came to confirm that He Himself is the promise. Everything else flows from that truth. The peace, the provision, the protection, the favor. It's all anchored in the reality that you are walking with Him, and He is walking with you, personally. One of the most unmistakable signs that you are approaching this divine face-to-face moment is the shift in how your spirit responds to the world around you. What once felt normal begins to feel foreign. Conversations that used to excite you now leave you feeling empty. Activities that once distracted you now seem meaningless. That's not depression. That's detachment from the unnecessary. It's God pulling your focus to what actually matters before He steps in. You might also notice an unusual sense of restlessness in your spirit. It's like something is pressing on you from the inside out. You can't explain it, but you feel it. The anticipation of something bigger than you. That's because your spirit knows before your mind catches up. Heaven's calendar is ahead of yours, and your inner man is already preparing for the encounter. In this time, God will often strip away noise. This could mean certain relationships go silent. Opportunities may stall. Invitations may stop coming. At first, it might feel like isolation, but in reality, it's insulation. He's sealing you off from distractions so that when he speaks, there is no competition for your attention. You might also find yourself becoming more sensitive to words, to atmospheres, to energy. What others can overlook, you can no longer ignore. This is because your discernment is being sharpened. God is fine-tuning your spiritual senses so that when He arrives, you recognize Him instantly, without question or doubt. Then, there are the moments when the physical world starts to reflect spiritual movement. This can come in small but significant ways. Unexpected signs, repeated patterns, divine confirmations through strangers or circumstances. Sometimes it's a song, a phrase, a number, or a dream that won't leave your mind. These are not coincidences. They're markers on the path, letting you know you're getting closer. Another sign is the sudden exposure of hidden truths. You may find that lies, secrets, or things people tried to hide from you are suddenly revealed without you searching for them. That's not by accident. It's God clearing the path so that nothing false stands between you and Him. This face-to-face moment is about truth, and anything built on deception must crumble before He comes near. Your prayer life will also shift during this season. You might notice that you have fewer words but deeper connection. You may not pray long, but you pray with precision. You speak less, yet feel more. Sometimes you may not say anything at all, and yet you feel His presence so strongly, it's like sitting with someone who knows you completely without a single word exchanged. And here's a powerful thing to remember. The closer the encounter, the more intense the resistance. Distractions, sudden conflicts, unexpected challenges may show up to pull you off course. But if you can recognize them for what they are, they lose their power. These are last attempts from the enemy to cloud your vision before the clarity hits. Chosen one, understand this. You don't have to chase this moment. You just have to stay ready for it. You don't have to make it happen. You simply have to make space for it. And the more you lean into that readiness, the quicker the moment arrives. When God comes face to face with you, everything slows down. Not because time has stopped, but because eternity has stepped in. The moment is thick with presence. It's hard to put into words, but it feels like the air itself has weight. Every sound fades. Every distraction dissolves. And suddenly, you are more aware of Him than you've ever been aware of anything in your entire life. You don't just hear Him, you feel Him. The atmosphere shifts in a way that can't be faked or manufactured. It's not a rush of emotions, it's a flood of truth. Your spirit locks in, and you know, without a doubt, that you are standing in a holy moment. Sometimes, His presence comes with such peace that you can't stop the tears. Other times, it comes with such authority that your knees feel weak. But always, it comes with love. Not the fragile, conditional love of people, but a love so pure it exposes every false thing you've ever believed about yourself. In that encounter, He speaks differently than He does in prayer or through other people. His words pierce straight through, not to wound, but to heal. It's as if every lie, every wound, every unanswered question is suddenly answered in one unshakable knowing. And sometimes, He doesn't even need to speak out loud. His presence alone says more than words ever could. In these moments, the physical and spiritual overlap. You may sense angels near. You may feel a heat in your hands, a heaviness on your shoulders, or a lightness in your chest. You might even see flashes of images or visions that feel more real than the room you're standing in. These are not random experiences. They are the language of heaven, communicating directly to your spirit. And here's what most people don't realize. When God meets you like this, He's not just giving you comfort. He's releasing an assignment. Encounters are not souvenirs. They are catalysts. They carry instructions. They shift your path in a way you cannot undo, and they mark you in a way the spiritual realm can see. After a face-to-face moment with God, the enemy sees you differently, and so does heaven. You walk away with a fresh seal of authority, and that authority is recognized in realms you can't see. Doors open faster, opposition gets more aggressive, and divine help comes quicker because your spiritual rank has increased. This is why these encounters are so rare and so sacred. God does not waste them. He gives them at precise moments when you are ready to not just experience Him, but to carry what He deposits in you. And from that moment on, you'll notice your life has a before and after. Before the encounter, you were moving in faith. After the encounter, you are moving in certainty. And certainty changes everything: how you walk, how you speak, how you decide, and how you stand. After a face-to-face encounter with God, life doesn't just go back to normal. It can't. The version of you that existed before that moment no longer fits into the spaces you once occupied. You begin to notice that some environments now feel too small for your spirit. Conversations that once intrigued you now feel shallow. You've tasted the depths of divine reality, and surface-level living will never satisfy you again. This is why, after such an encounter, God often begins the process of repositioning you. It's not rejection, it's realignment. He shifts you from people, places, and patterns that can't handle the weight of what you now carry. It may look like loss on the outside, but it's actually protection. Not everyone can journey with the new you. Not everyone can respect the authority you've been given. And here's something you must understand. After an encounter, the enemy will try harder to pull you into old habits, old cycles, and old ways of thinking. It's not because you've become weaker, but because you've become more dangerous. He knows that if you stay in this new level of clarity, nothing he throws at you will work. This is why protecting your atmosphere becomes critical. Your prayer life must be guarded like treasure. The moments you spend in silence with God must be treated like sacred appointments, not optional events. Your mind must be trained to filter out voices that create doubt or confusion. You'll find that even small distractions start to feel heavier, because you can now sense how quickly they pull you off course. And here's the thing: protecting this encounter doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world completely. It means being intentional about who and what has access to your inner world. Some people can be in your life without being in your spirit. Some conversations can happen without planting seeds in your soul. The key is discernment, knowing what to receive and what to release. You'll also notice that after such an encounter, your steps become more intentional. You no longer move just to be busy. You move with purpose. You no longer chase every opportunity. You wait for the ones that carry God's fingerprint. And when you speak, it carries a weight that people can feel. Because it's not just your voice anymore, it's the echo of His presence in you. One of the most profound changes is how you handle challenges. Where you once reacted in fear, now you respond with authority. Where you once questioned if God was with you, now you know He is. And that knowing changes the way you approach every storm. You stop asking, "Will I make it?" and start declaring, "I've already made it. This is just the path." This is why protecting your encounter is not just about keeping it pure, it's about keeping it active. You don't let it become a distant memory you talk about. You let it become the living fuel that drives everything you do moving forward. When God meets you face to face, it's never just about you. Yes, it's deeply personal. Yes, it's an intimate exchange between you and your Creator. But God is also strategic. He knows that what He deposits into you will overflow into others. Your encounter is a seed that carries fruit for generations you may never meet. This is why, after a personal encounter, you'll find yourself becoming a mirror of His presence without even trying. People will sense something different about you. Strangers may feel peace just standing near you. Friends may open up to you about things they've never told anyone, because your spirit carries a safe, unshakable atmosphere. You see, the light of God's face-to-face moment doesn't fade like a temporary glow. It imprints on you. It shifts your very frequency. You start moving in a rhythm that matches heaven's heartbeat. Your steps, your words, your decisions, all of them begin to carry the fragrance of His presence. And here's what's powerful. God will send you into environments that need that light. Sometimes, He'll place you in dark spaces, not because He wants you to struggle, but because He knows you're now equipped to shift the atmosphere. The encounter you had wasn't for you to hide it. It was for you to carry it boldly into places where hope feels lost. But be prepared. Carrying this kind of presence will make you a target. Not everyone will celebrate the change in you. Some will feel convicted just by being around you. Others will misunderstand your silence, your standards, or your refusal to settle for less. This is why God strengthens your identity during that face-to-face moment, so you won't trade it for approval later. Over time, you'll realize that the most powerful ministry isn't always a sermon or a stage. It's your life. It's the way you love without expecting in return. The way you forgive when the world says you shouldn't. The way you remain unshaken in storms that would have destroyed you before. That's the kind of testimony that can't be argued with. And here's the part that humbles you. You're not the same person who first sought His face. You've been refined, not polished for show, but purified for purpose. You carry scars, but they're no longer wounds. They're evidence. You've walked through fire, but you don't smell like smoke. And because of this, you can now guide others through the very places that once tried to destroy you. God will start to draw people into your path who are in the same place you once were. And when they look into your eyes, they'll see more than kindness. They'll see the reflection of the one who met you there. And that's when you'll understand. Your face-to-face moment wasn't just a blessing. It was a commissioning. When you've come face-to-face with God, your life stops being random. You begin to notice divine patterns, the way certain doors open without force, the way certain people cross your path at the exact moment you need them, the way opportunities seem to align with your inner knowing. This isn't luck. This is the flow of divine orchestration. Your days become guided by more than schedules and plans. They're guided by a deep sensitivity to His voice. You'll find yourself pausing before making a move, not out of fear, but out of reverence for His timing. You'll start to sense when something is right, even if it doesn't make logical sense. And you'll sense when something is wrong, even if it looks perfect on paper. This is the fruit of walking so closely with Him. Your discernment sharpens, your spirit matures, and your peace becomes the deciding factor in every choice. But with this closeness comes a deeper level of trust. God will begin to ask you to step into things before you feel ready. He'll place you in positions that stretch you beyond your comfort zone, not to break you, but to show you that His strength has already gone before you. These are the moments where your natural instincts want to retreat, but your spirit knows the encounter was preparation for this exact step. And here's something you'll notice. the world's pace will start to feel too fast for you. Not because you're falling behind, but because you've learned the power of moving with God's pace. You no longer feel the need to rush just because others are running. You understand that arriving at the wrong time is just as dangerous as not arriving at all. You'll also find that God starts to reveal layers of your purpose you didn't see before. That face-to-face encounter was just the opening of a conversation, and He's still speaking. Each new season brings a fresh instruction, a fresh perspective, a fresh mission. And sometimes He won't reveal the full picture, not to frustrate you, but to keep you dependent on His voice day by day. And in the midst of all this, your spirit will develop an unshakable awareness. You're never alone. Even in quiet seasons where His voice seems faint, you'll recognize the subtle signs of His presence, a moment of peace in chaos, a word from someone who didn't know your situation, a sudden clarity in a decision you've been wrestling with. It's the gentle reminder that once you've been face to face with Him, you'll never walk without His imprint again. This is why what's ahead of you is not about striving to earn His nearness. It's about learning to live from it. You're no longer chasing the moment, you're carrying it. Every interaction, every step, every word you speak becomes a reflection of that personal encounter. And as you carry it, others will see it, and their spirits will be stirred to seek their own. The deeper you go into this walk, the more you realize that a face-to-face encounter with God doesn't just transform your spirit, it restructures your entire life. The way you think, the way you respond, the way you see the world, it all shifts. You stop living in reaction to circumstances, and you start living in alignment with purpose. And this is when something powerful begins to happen. You carry the encounter into every space you enter. Your presence becomes a signal. Rooms feel different when you walk in, not because of your personality alone, but because the one who met you face to face now walks with you into every environment. You're no longer just a participant in the moment. You're a catalyst. God will begin to draw people to you who are desperate for the very thing you now carry. Some will come with questions they don't even know how to articulate. Others will simply want to be near you, because your energy carries rest for weary souls. This isn't about you being elevated, it's about you becoming a living conduit of His presence. But here's where it gets even more personal. The closer you walk with Him, the more you'll start to notice subtle tests in your daily life. Not every battle will be loud and obvious. Some will come in the form of small compromises, temptations to dilute the truth, or moments where it would be easier to blend in than stand out. These are the moments where your encounter will anchor you, reminding you of the standard He set when you looked Him in the face. And when you choose obedience in those moments, something unseen shifts. You're not just passing a test, you're proving to heaven that you can be trusted with even greater assignments.